Hello, everyone. This is going to be kind of off the cuff. We are sitting here at last check 993 subscribers. We are getting so close to 1,000. 994. We are 6 away. So we decided we'd throw up a live stream. I think it's posted over on the. Yeah, I mean it's just a little check by my name, so I assume it's posted. We are 6 away, and if you couldn't tell by all of my tweets recently, probably annoying people, I probably lost followers, but it's been amazing to watch this podcast grow from like 5 watches, 20 watches, 30 watches to almost 2,000 watches once and 1,000 subscribers. So thank you, everyone. I'm giddy. I'd be more giddy, but like I haven't had more than 5 hours of sleep a night this week, and 2 kids. Oh. But we're gonna take questions. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna celebrate, and we're just we're also gonna be working on uploading our episode from today. So we're gonna multitask this. This is definitely more of a fun hang. 5 away, final 5 away. I'm just happy dancing right now about this. I can't believe I don't know. I didn't think we'd ever. When I started this, I never thought I'd get here. When they're like, you need 1,000 to get monetization. I was like, I'm never gonna get there. That's just not gonna happen. If I'm lucky. As a Cleveland Guardians fan, so what would you guys be willing to give up for Pablo Lopez in a trade in terms of prospects? My personal view right now, as fans, is I don't want to trade any of the big 3, and I don't want to trade Angel Martinez, and I don't want to trade Bo Naylor. So most people want to protect Valera and Rocchio, and like I like them both. Don't get me wrong; they're tier 2 guys with Martinez and Naylor. But the one thing I just feel like is in this specific situation, something that gets left off is Andres Jimenez can always flip back to short, and Angel Martinez can always be a second baseman. And no matter what happens, you have someone who's ready to play shortstop and be a good shortstop. And yes, Rocchio technically he's the better defensive shortstop, so like his value and his ranking is probably a little higher in most places, but in Cleveland's specific situation, offensively, I think their best offensive infield would be Martinez and Jimenez. So for me, I'd rather hold on to Martinez because I think that gives you your best offensive production at a similar defensive rate. Well, maybe not a similar defensive rate. Rocchio and Martinez would probably be sick up the middle defensively, but at still a strong defensive rate. So that's just my view. I'm definitely saying like Valera, as he can potentially play center field. And if they want a center fielder, they're probably going to be asking about Brennan. I mean, I would do.
That's what I was going to say. Do you
and Valera, but it hurts.
We know the Marlins want a center fielder, so
yeah. I'm not giving Quan.
Well, yeah. Can you convince them that George Valera can play center? Would you give up George Valera for?
I would.
For Pablo Lopez.
Yeah,
I would probably be bigger game hunting if we're talking trading Valera, because I think Valera. While we can acknowledge Valera has some flaws and. We're a little bit more leery of the upside right now. I think you can do better than Pablo Lopez when you're talking about Valera, but I don't think I would trade Brennan. I like Brennan too much for Pablo Lopez.
That's fair. And like, I think you and I have talked about off air, but never on air. Sorry, I'm just doing some, like I said, this is more of a hang than like a pure episode. There are people in the organization who like Brennan more than Valera.
There are definitely people who in the organization would probably be more apt to trade Valera than they would Valera or Brennan, I should say.
Yeah.
There's not to say all of them would feel that way, but I do know for a fact there are people in the organization who would probably prefer Brennan to Valera long term. So
3 away.
Yeah.
3-0.
By the way, we were just joking. We were just joking as I'm sitting here uploading the podcast to YouTube, the real version of the podcast while we're doing this live one. We were joking that tomorrow's thumbnail for the podcast is kind of a picture of Gaylord Perry and Trey Benton. Find me a podcast out there that is going to talk about both of those guys in the same podcast, because I don't know if you could. Whoever thought on this earth that Trey Benton, like you said, we're not comparing Trey Benton and Gaylord Perry at all, by obviously, but
no, Justin's given a comp. He's given 100% a comp with those two. That's
Trey Benton, future Hall of Fame.
He's going to pitch 22 years in the big leagues.
Yeah,
he's going to have a season of 10.8 WAR, as we discussed on our show tonight. I love I would do that Murphy trade in a heartbeat. Side note,
I didn't see it.
Valera, Freeman, Allen, and Tena. Yeah.
Does that get it done? Do you think?
No, I don't think
no.
I think you need. I think they might like Tena. They might like Allen. They might like Freeman.
We know. Okay, Tyler Freeman is an Oakland Athletic.
I mean,
let's be real.
Also, what I mean is like they might like.
Logan Allen.
All three of those guys are athletic types. I think they like all of them, but I don't know that. I feel like there needs to be two big pieces, and I don't think those are two big pieces in there. That's it. I just think like you need another big piece. Brendan is definitely a better center fielder. I don't think Valera actually can stick center field long term. That's another question here. In terms of offense, Valera has the higher ceiling. Brendan is a sure bet. And Valera definitely has more raw power. But than Brendan.
Brendan definitely the better hit tool.
Yes. Yeah. There are
I think Brennan's a better fielder, better runner, better batting eye.
Yeah. Let's see. We're at 999 subscribers.
Oh my gosh. Let us know if
999, one away.
And while people are watching this, they're like, oh God, these guys' egos. Hey, John Brophy, my guy from Pinstripe Pros and Prospects Live was number 999. Thanks, John. Excellent Yankees coverage photographer and writer down in Tampa Bay. This is not like an ego thing for us. We're not like, oh, we're cool because it's at 1,000. Literally, the only thing that matters to us about being 1,000 subscribers is that there is a little bit of extra money that comes along with having 1,000 subscribers to your YouTube page. Probably not a lot. It's not a ego. If there was no money involved in this, we wouldn't be celebrating. Let's be honest. I both don't care. It's great.
I mean, I don't know. I like milestones. We wouldn't be going to this extreme. That's for sure. I don't think we'd be doing the bonus episode without that, but it's also going to help just like get us more eyes in general too.
Yeah,
that's the side thing. Benson has some value, but I think he's like a tertiary to fourth piece in terms of just hitting the questions in chat. Okay, so he's a Marlins fan. Okay, the Marlins need a third baseman, a center fielder, and a shortstop. I keep forgetting they need a shortstop. Like that's the other thing. Like there might be a world where like Rocky and Brennan.
Do?
Yeah, because Rojas is getting up there in age.
Yeah, he's pretty average. Can you convince them to take Amed Rosario, or do you think that they would need? I mean, hey, could you convince them to take Rosario in the short term and also see if they like Arias or Rocchio or any of those guys? Like that might. I would say Rosario is not great. I know Rojas is a better defender, but
did you read the side out that piece I sent you on De La Cruz? Like, there's part of me that's like,
I did not. A bad host and friend. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's like there's a part of it's like maybe they could like let's get De La Cruz and Lopez and Nick Forts and just take it all in one place from the Marlins. We hit 1K.
Hey,
we're sitting near.
Who was 1K?
I don't know. I wish someone would tell us. We're at exactly 1,000. Whoever our newest subscriber is our 1K. Let's see if it can tell me who is our most date subscribed. No, well, according to this, we only had one person subscribe on the December 1st, so I don't believe that.
Well, it's now December 2nd, so
we have no subscribers on December 2nd, but that could be in my time. It's still December 1st, so.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah, I have weirdness, but yeah, no, I don't know. I would love to know who did it.
Yeah. What other questions do we got in here? Prospects, third baseman, center fielder, shortstop, can play defense. Does Will Benson have value, and what could the Guardians do? Will Benson does have value. I don't know. I
feel like there's
I said the other day that I said the other day I would not. I don't think the odds are likely of this happening, but I think there is a universe that exists where Will Benson becomes a version of Joey Gallo, the good version, not the one that he's been the last 2 years. What do you think?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, potentially. I don't know if he has quite the power, like less power.
He has the raw power. I don't know
power,
if
but he's never put it in. I mean, he's put it in game, but not to the degree of a Gallo.
I think he could get to 30. Like the 99th percentile outcome for Will Benson is probably 30 home runs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like a 25 home run guy who can steal 20 bases will have a 350 on base because he walks a ton and plays good defense in the outfield. That's like the high end for Will Benson right now. I don't know if there's any other team out there that believes that he's going to do it, but it's possible.
What could be interesting too, honestly, is like for the Marlins at third base is for a long time I thought Arias would take over at third base if Jose wasn't signed because he's got the arm and the ability. Like I think he could handle and be a plus defender at third base. So there could be like in the short term you can value with that. Let's see. Could Brennan, Noel, and Arias? I mean, I think that could potentially do it. I mean, Noel is right-handed, right? And aren't the Marlins desperate for left-handed power? So Noel may not do as much for them.
Valera does not have a left-handed hitter with that much power in their system, I will say, unless you can Chase Bellauter as that guy, but I don't think he is.
Andrew Rodden is our 1K. So thank you to Andrew. That's huge. We're at 101. We're still going. And then other questions. Valerian Plesac for Moreno. Who says no?
What was that? Sorry, I'm still we're still working on uploading the actual podcast.
And Justin's doing the hard part. He's doing the write up. He's doing the actual work. I don't think it's enough for Toronto.
I think it needs another piece. I think it needs another prospect.
I also think like
Karinchak, if you add Karinchak to that, I think it gets it done. But
agreed.
Would you do it?
Potentially. Like, I don't know. I feel like they have so much relief help. I'm not opposed. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, when it comes to 99, not even getting into anything else. It's just he is the reliever with the least amount of team control. Like he is the guy who's the closest to free agency. If you're going to move one, he makes the most sense. Thank you to everyone. Congratulations. This is an amazing. I like I said, 102. We're still going. I can go back to those early 103. If I go back to those first videos that, by the way, aren't even up here, you have to go to my personal YouTube and Justin is like the number 2 person I did it with. Fun fact. These are like, it's on my, because they didn't have us upload them anywhere. I should like download them. They're not great. They had me using green screens and like, I remember like literally it was 2 a.m. once and I had an issue and I couldn't get the darn thing to work and I had to be up to teach at 6 a.m. And I was like it was not very fun. And then it would be like 7 YouTube views and I'd be like, why am I wasting 4 hours at night for this? And then see, that was like the pandemic year. That would have been 2020 where we did that. And then I kind of stopped doing video for a bit and then I came back to it. And then, since you've joined, that's really helped. But like, yeah, it's like to think about the time where I was doing 5 views and now we're at 1,000 subscribers. So I thank you. Like, I'm just going to keep, doing my Daniel Tiger. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you. Would you rather extend McKenzie or Jimenez? That's hard, but I say McKenzie.
Okay.
Or is that who you're saying as well?
Nope. I am saying Jimenez. Pitchers are risky. I would rather extend, especially we know, and I'm surprised you said that because you have always been leery. I know you were more leery of McKenzie in the past, so I would assume you would have said Jimenez to go risk averse. That's what I would probably go with. As much as I always like McKenzie,
it's more just like pitching is so hard to get.
Not for Cleveland.
I don't know. Like we say that, but like, yeah, interesting. The Marlins fan will address his trade idea in a minute. Like I get that, but like, I don't know. Like,
I think Jeff Rose right in the middle. Of course, Jeff Rose. All right, well, I'll continue on the questions until Jeff unphrases himself. Thanks to congrats on 1K. Pablo Lopez for Gabriel Arias, George Valera, and Angel Martinez to the Marlins, because I believe Jacob Perry is our future first baseman. Oh, Jacob Berry. Okay, from LSU. If I'm the Guardians, I don't do that. That's too much to give up for Pablo Lopez. Arias is fine. Valera, is Valera, but I'm too much of a believer in Angel Martinez. I'm with Marble too. I'm not as high on. Oh, we lost Jeff completely. Of course we did. Hopefully he'll rejoin the stream, as I am still trying to finish uploading our podcast for the day, of course, while we do this. So this will be interesting on how this goes. I'm too high on Angel Martinez to give him up in a deal for Pablo Lopez. I am not. I'm pretty lukewarm on Pablo Lopez, so I don't see the need to give up a big package for him. Like, if the Brewers were interested in trading Corbin Burns or Brandon Woodruff, I would say, sure, you can make that sort of deal. Same with the big three pitchers, but not for Pablo Lopez. Not for Pablo Lopez. I don't think it's worth it. He's not that good. Thanks to Brandon, and congrats to 1K. Yeah, Trevor Rogers would come close, cheaper than Pablo Lopez for sure, but he'd be a nice rebound case. Absolutely. I would be interested in Cleveland trying to figure out him, because at the worst, you can stick him in the bullpen if things don't work out. But it is a risk, and I don't know what the cost on that's going to be. So that'd be interesting. Jeff, welcome back. We were just talking.
Yes.
So Anthony proposed Gabriel Arias, George Valera, and Angel Martinez for Pablo Lopez. I said no solely because of Angel Martinez, truthfully, because we're both not really big believers in Pablo Lopez. And then Brandon also wanted to know about what you think about Trevor Rogers as a potential target.
I've never been high, if I'm being honest. Like, dating back to just the college days, I was a bit lower on him. Or not college, high school days. It's just he was the age of a college kid when he was in high school. So maybe that's a low blow to make that joke now, but it's like, I don't know. I am not convinced necessarily of a rebound with Trevor Rogers.
I'm not either, but I would be interested in seeing what the cost is, because I do like the stuff enough. And I said at the worst, to be a reliever. And Cleveland also will not be trading Arias, Valera, and Martinez for Rogers. Rogers is going to come in a lot lower than that if they do trade him.
Yeah, because it's one good year, and then he kind of broke out last year. So it's there's not as much back there for it. So I think it's harder to move him. You need more. Yeah. I see one of the statements here is about
David Fry question.
David Fry. Like, I mean, we've stated in one of our episodes too, like, we like the idea of David Fry, is especially if you have Murphy and Naylor and you want them to play more, then Fry is a lefty masher who plays first, third, and emergency catcher. And obviously he wouldn't play on days that both Naylor and Murphy are in the field if you get them both. But having the depth of him allows you to play them both at the same time, but also gives you a guy who is just murdered left-handed pitching and has flexibility at first, third, and catcher. Seems like perfect for that 26 spot on the roster. See, I'm not going for Dax Fulton right now. I actually love that pick, but he has been, I feel like the control has been spotty, and Cleveland has done a lot of things well, but what's interesting in terms of their pitching development, the Marlins have great pitching development, and that makes me nervous about trying to get more out of someone. But two, Cleveland has actually not had as much success with guys. Well, I guess the control wasn't as big of an issue this year, in fairness. 3.2 walks per nine, 11.4 strikes per nine. I mean, I'll be honest. I got to dig a little more into the numbers for Fulton. It is interesting that he seemed to get better as the year went on, and he was very young for his levels. So, I mean, I'd have to at least consider that deal. I would say that Fulton, as a lefty who missed bats and didn't walk a lot of guys, it's interesting. I want to see if I could get into some of his advanced data before I say anything particular. With
I like the idea of trading for Dax Fulton. I don't know about Gabriel Arias because I would rather, if you're gonna, that's basically punting a 40-man roster spot. You're basically saying like, okay, we're going to.
He wants Gabriel Arias. This is what I'm getting from this one because he threw his next one at us as well.
Yuri Perez. Yes. The Guardians are in. Send the trade to the commissioner. The Guardians are in on that right now. They will do that. They will do that tomorrow. They will even pay for Gabriel Arias' flight. They will agree to pay for Gabriel Arias' house down there if they can make that trade work.
I assume you are a big fan there, Justin. Is that our takeaway?
Yuri Perez, yeah, I think the Guardians would pay for Gabriel Arias' house, for a house for his family if they had to get that trade done.
I am. I'll just be the first to admit I have not dug too deep on Yuri Perez.
I think the Guardians have, and I think Yuri Perez is probably the best pitching prospect not named Daniel Espino.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't no, it's because I wasn't okay. Yes, no, I do know him. It just the spelling threw me off.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Yuri Perez is that would be a crazy trade. But I do like the idea of trading for Dax Fulton. I just don't know if Arias is the right guy because I like that would give you a chance to reset, clear a 40-man spot. But I would rather do that for like say Jose Tena or something. And not Gabriel Arias.
Yeah, it's a problem is finding that guy who makes sense because the Marlins, I think, are in win now. I think that front office has to feel a little bit of the pressure.
Yeah. Why can Cleveland develop hitting and pitching, but not the Marlins? Cleveland hasn't developed hitting this season with Juan and Brennan and I mean Jose is a case all on his own. That's not really Cleveland. That's more Jose to being Jose, but. Naylor broke out this year, I guess you could say, but like this is really a new development for Cleveland.
Well, he's saying why the Marlins can't, right? He's saying Cleveland can do both, and the Marlins struggle.
The Marlins have just made a lot of bad decisions over the last few years. Let's just say that the Marlins have made some very bad decisions.
I think that's fair, but I think they've also failed in their hitting development. Like I really liked Peyton Burdick. I thought Bleday was a solid pick. I think they've had some talent. And it's always that question of why doesn't it translate? We've had that one with Cleveland for a long time. Like you said, until recently, Cleveland seemed to never develop anyone. And I think you need to be organizationally on the same page, top to bottom. I think that has been Cleveland. That's what they started with pitching. They now is hitting, and they take all of the data, and guys are getting the same. It doesn't matter if they're in low A, high A, double A, or triple A. It's the same approach. It's basically like what I do as a teacher, where we have team meetings and we're all on the same team of how we are going to educate so we don't get gaps and there's not confusion. And and I feel like that's what the Guardians are doing with development now, that it's not like, hey, this hitting coach had this approach, this hitting coach had this. No, it's one approach. There's one system for pitching, one for hitting, and you're going to get a constant stream using the most advanced data. And, if you are any chance of being a good coach, like we talked about Brian Sweeney on the show, you want to come to Cleveland now because it's a fast track to the majors.
And I would say too for Cleveland, they have a lot of continuity and consistency in their player development group, and I think they are finally starting to learn how certain things work on the pitching side of things. Because that's the biggest thing. They've always talked about how the pitching development people always talk to the hitting development people, and the hitting side of things, trying to figure out what has worked for the pitching side of things. And I think that has helped them maybe communicate a little bit better and try to find a way to improve hitting. And I think that's helped this year because look at it as Cleveland's type in the draft or even international free agency. Obviously they don't take pitching in the international free agency, but Cleveland found a specific subset of skills and performance that works for them in the draft and pitching, right? They take college pitchers who throw strikes, guys that their delivery could be optimized to add more velocity, performers at the highest level, whether that's like Cape Cod or Team USA or whatever, things like that. And guys with good pitch data too, like, guys like over the top arm slots, guys who have unique release points. Like Logan Allen has a very low release, very flat approach angle. They look for those traits because they know how to work with them and get the most out of them for pitchers. And I think that's why you've seen them pivot to Stephen Kwon's and Tyler Freeman's and guys like that who have high contact rates, Will Brennan. And they Stephen Kwan did the weighted bat training. So they took a guy who has elite plate discipline, who has high contact skills, and you see if you can tap into more power with him by doing things like weighted bat training and things like that. So you take pieces that already have things in place that are harder to teach, and you find ways to maximize those types of athletes. So I think the hitting side has finally found a formula that might work for them, like pitching has all these years. It just took some time to get that in the system. And that's there. Obviously, Chase DeLauder is an interesting case there. I'm trying to think of any other hitters. International guys they always target. Angel Janau, Welbin Francisca, Jason Chorio. They've targeted guys with high contact ability. They find traits they know how to work with now.
Yeah. No, and that's I think more than anything else. It's like the last 2 years in particular, it's been about knowing their traits, knowing their type. It's like, hey, does someone have an interesting release point? Do they throw a slider? Do they, is it a 3/4 delivery? Like, instead of, and go back before these few years and you look at, Lenny Torres and Ethan Hankins could still work out. But as of right now, 4 first-round picks, that hasn't been great. And you look at some of those other high ceiling guys, the Brady Aikens. You look at or when they were doing nothing but after Frankie Lindor, it went Tyler Naquin, Clint Frazier, Bradley Zimmer, Mike Pappy, Quentin Holmes, all these high ceiling outfielders. Instead, they eventually learned to these past few years more than anything else. It's like, okay, this is what we do best. We're going to lean into that 100%. And that's how you end up with like Tanner Bybee. Like that's one of the great successes.
100%. And they get to know these guys too. That's the other thing. They get to know with these guys if they're coachable and where they need to improve. So they're very good at getting to know these sorts of players. A couple comments ago, we talked about Marble asked the question about Cody Morris being in the rotation.
He could, but it's going to be a limited innings, kind of like how McKenzie was a year ago. Like, just because of the injuries, like to start the year, you almost don't want him in the rotation because he's going to be on an inning count. But I think he could be. And listen, I've been getting a lot of people kind of mad at me about my Savale and Plesac being the same guy. They're not the same guy, but they have same value because the issue with Savale is legitimately, I don't think he has completed a full season with health. That's just legitimate, honest take.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. What else we got?
Chase is probably athletic. DeLauder enough to play center field, but I also think he's going to probably thicken out and become more of a corner guy. Like, he's already pretty strong, but I would count on him in the corners. In terms of the Brian Sweeney thing, that'll be in the show that'll be posting soon. We'll go deep on it shows out on Sweeney. And at this point, I don't think they're going to do anything to change Valera's swing. I'm very curious. I feel like if we are making too much of a deal about Valera's swing, they're going to hold on to him. But like, could the Guardians be releasing information through sources to intentionally ding his value to not trade him? Or if this is all legitimate concerns, maybe he's gone and it could be part of it. I almost feel like if he is still here, then maybe it's overblown. If he is gone, then this is what leaked out, that they were maybe not necessarily as high on him as the crowd was.
Well, they're not going to release anything they don't like about him and make it so he has less value in the trade. So that's definitely not coming from them. We talked about Brian Sweeney in the podcast, so make sure you check out that. Yeah. I don't think Valera looks like Yordan Alvarez at all. Alvarez
very different.
Yeah, Valera, one of Valera's biggest issues is he is too passive at the plate. Like yes, he can understand the strike zone. He's very good at not chasing pitches out of the strike zone, but I think he also is more willing to take strikes that he doesn't like. And that hurts him the same way it hurt Nolan Jones. So Valera is probably taking a lot of strikes that he should be swinging at. And, maybe those are pitcher's pitches and there's nothing you can do about it. That might be true, but I think he's also goes up with the approach of I'm not going to swing at anything unless I know I can crush it. And that is going to lead to more strikeouts. And he can be fooled on breaking balls. We do think that he has a groove swing, so fastballs high are going to be a problem for him as well. Alvarez is the opposite. Alvarez is an aggressive hitter, and he also has better back control, strikes out a lot less. Yordan Alvarez is essentially like the Guardians' white whale. They are looking for a guy like Yordan Alvarez who, like, what was Alvarez's strikeout rate last year? Like 20%, 15%?
It was
Yordan.
He's Albert Bell. Like, you go back to like kind of primish Albert Bell. That's I just want to jump in something here. The Valera getting the 60 hit tool never made sense to me. If you went and listened to shows at the time, like I was like, why did he get a 60 hit tool? Because he had what was viewed as a pretty swing. Like, and that's what I hate about like swing ratings for a long time. It's like, oh, that is how a swing should look. So we're gonna give him.
Also, you just don't know from.
But they were still giving that to him when he was hitting like 240 in A ball, and I'm like, no, like the data does not back this up. Like,
I mean, when you're talking about showcases, you just
poorly,
don't know.
Hit tool is so poorly judged.
It is.
And it's, I always go back to it. It's like Tyler Naquin and Bradley Zimmer were both considered to have the best current hit tools in their draft classes. We know nothing about hit tool. We're not good at quantifying it. It is getting better as we get more advanced data. But honestly, when I was a national draft writer, this isn't a brag or anything. It's just, I had that position. And it did at the time allow me some access to people I wouldn't have. And I would talk to scouts and they would be like, oh, what do you think? Plus hit tool. I'm like, why? It's a pretty swing. Like that was literally something that was told to me. It's a plus hit tool because it's a pretty swing. And that's really all you need to know about how sometimes hit tools get judged.
And it goes both ways too. Like it's not just how the swing looks, but like I'm working on my best tools in the Guardians farm system for a piece coming up at Guardians Baseball Insider, and Tyler Freeman has been a guy that has been been bequeathed that best skill in the system for like years by people. And yes, Tyler Freeman makes a lot of contact, no doubt. He doesn't strike out a lot. Does that mean he has the best hit tool? Because if you remember on the opposite end of the spectrum, there were people on Fangraphs and other outlets who gave Ernie Clement like a 60 or 70 hit tool. And Ernie Clement, yes, makes a crap ton of contact. We're making a crap load of content. That doesn't mean he has a 60 hit tool just because he makes contact. You don't get a 60 grade hit tool because you have a pretty swing. You don't get a 60 grade hit tool because you make a lot of contact. What you do with that contact matters. So like Brian Rocchio, Angel, I'm giving away some of my list here. Will Brennan, those guys make contact and they do damage with it. Like Yordan Alvarez should probably have he had a 55 hit tool on Fangraphs. That's probably accurate because he struck out 18% of the time this year and he crushes the ball. That is your hit tool right there. Not only do you make contact and don't strike out, but you also crush the ball. And you don't have to hit 37 home runs, but you have to have. You can't be a guy that's an empty 300. Like the guy I would think that Freeman's one of them, but Nick Madrigal, Cleveland loved Nick Madrigal. I think you'd like Nick Madrigal.
I did. I'll own that.
But it's an empty 300. Like it's a lot of soft contact, and just because you make a lot of like Ernie Clement, just because you make a lot of contact doesn't mean you have a good hit tool because you have to be able to make the ball. You have to hit the ball hard, and I'm not saying you have to. Not saying you have to hit 30 home runs, but you have to make an impact.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's always been I've been lower on Freeman. So much so he followed me for a few weeks after someone tagged a bunch of my negative tweets about him. They weren't negative. I was like, he's just not a top 10 prospect to me because that is the profile that scares me. It's the Francisco Mejia profile. It is the contact, low walk, low power profile. that exists but rarely leads to effectiveness. And Freeman could prove me wrong and totally be the guy. And I think he's got a better hit tool than Mejia did. But that is a profile that is never going to excite me. Unlike the Guardians, who seem to, it's all the. But I think they also realize that like contact, we'll just keep drafting contact guys, and maybe like there's a higher chance of success. Maybe instead of it being like 1 in 6, it's 1 in 5 to get an average major leaguer. And I think they're going, it's the same reason like when they do a Clevenger trade, they're happy to get 6 guys and not, and get roasted over the coals that none of them are the big prospects. Like,
yeah. I'm going to address one thing on here too. Someone asked about Guardians Baseball Insider ranking prospects. I will have a Guardians prospect list coming out in the new year. SI is totally different. So those are 2 different lists. I will have a prospect rankings and scouting reports in the new year. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
And I'll have best tools. Someone just asked about, well, I don't know. You can maybe give yours here. Someone asked about nastiest curveball, best slider, best cutter in the system. I'll have a best tools piece coming out on that too.
Yeah.
At GuardiansBaseballInsider.com before the end of the month. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Let's do a final count here. I just where you are, it's super late. I think we're gonna end at 1,003. We have not added anyone in a while. I'm overwhelmed. I'm completely blown away. My old co-host even wanted to come in and say, thanks for coming in. He appreciates the support, even though that is not a face that shows the appreciation of the sport. I swear, he appreciates the support. We all do. I never thought it would happen. That's just the truth of the matter. I never thought this day would occur. So that's why I wanted to do the live episode and just thank everyone. And I want to thank Justin for coming in and elevating the show so much from where we had it. And yeah, that's, and honestly, like behind the scenes more, like whenever I would get frustrated with the show, Justin was already the person I went to. So he was literally the perfect hire. So I'm very thankful to have him as a co-host who helped bring this even more. I'm very thankful to all of you. Hey, Anthony, thank you for coming in. We don't want to, like, we are a Guardians podcast. We are a Guardians podcast, but like, we love talking about baseball in general. Like, we love prospects all over. I said Peyton Burdick is a guy I believed in hugely down there that I'm still hoping will rebound. Another Right State guy.
I saw like JJ Bleday.
Yeah, we've had that discussion off the air. So no, thank you for coming in. We appreciate you doing that. We always love an excuse to talk about all of baseball. But yeah, we should probably call it. It's 12:30 your time, 11:30 my time. I think my son might be awake. So again, thank you all. And I think we're going to call it, but it's an amazing day.
Yeah. Thank you.